All right. Welcome to Bluegrass Breakdown. I'm Matt.
And I'm Clifton. In like Kentucky, we're having all kinds of difficulties tonight. The ice and the weather knocked out our internet for a few days, so we're a day late. And as I was saying in our first attempt at this, may have went live last night just to voice some frustrations if the internet had been in. But nevertheless, Kentucky goes to Nashville and loses 80-55 to Vanderbilt in what really the only way to describe this was a disaster from moment one. So, Matt, why don't you just tell us some of your initial thoughts on the game?
All right. Well, uh, frustrating is the doesn't really cover it for me last night watching this game, but uh, from the get go of the game, um, I just felt like we were never competitive. We weren't in it, and that was just really frustrating. Felt like we've seen this before, playing against good teams, and I just we just didn't do anything well. Nothing. We
No,
didn't rebound well. We didn't shoot well. We didn't guard. We turned it over. Really silly turnovers. Lackadaisical with the ball. Um, just no sense of urgency, no sense of feeling like of running any kind of semblance of an offense,
none.
and it was just I mean I was hooting and hollering and scaring everybody in the house, yelling at the TV. I mean that was just it was man it was a hard to watch.
It was, and it was from moment one, like you said. It was just there was no energy, and you know, I was talking with my pastor tonight and after church, and he said, is this the worst they've played all season? And I was thinking about that, and really, uh, outside to me of the Gonzaga game, which also happened to be in Nashville, uh, I thought many of the same problems that night was showed up again. In Gonzaga, I think ultimately it's probably more talented than Vanderbilt, and so that's why it's was a 25-point game rather than a 40-point game. Um, but it's the two problems I have with this team that really have not been there the last 2.5 to 3 weeks. Um, Even when they've played back, because this team obviously has flaws at this point in the season, you can see that. But to me, the biggest problem and what showed up again, it's a lack of effort, and they play very selfish at times. There was absolutely no ball movement, and as you said, no semblance of an offense whatsoever. I'm not sure what they were trying to do. And then the few times they did have an open look at the basket, they just missed shots. 55 points is not going to win very many games in the Power Five, and especially when you're not playing defense either. You're going to have to bring effort on one side of the court, and last night was just an embarrassment.
Yeah, we win 5 games in a row, and I thought we took, some steps forward, and we took about 10 steps back last night on on defense. I mean, our defense, we had been playing good defense. I kept bragging about our perimeter defense, blah 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 blah. Well, it didn't show up last night, and and like you said, we got some pretty good looks, especially early in the game. We were just missing. I mean, we were missing everything. We missed everything. We couldn't make a shot. We were missing layups, and then we get down, and what happens when we get down? It's inevitable. Well, it seems we start forcing some shots.
Yeah,
We start, uh, Oway, he starts taking step back threes. Well, if that we you can just forget it.
yeah,
If Oway, if our offense is Oway taking a step back three, we're in big trouble. And then Denzel Aberdeen fell into the same crap that he
yeah,
was doing a month ago that drove us all nuts.
yeah,
Dribble, 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 dribble. Dribble, 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 dribble. Finally getting into the lane, pump faking 14 times, and trying to draw a foul, not kicking the ball out. We had no ball movement. We weren't. We were basically running no offense, and it was. It looked like we've said, but we looked lost, like we had no idea what we were doing in some of these other games against good teams. Well, that's how it was last night. We looked like we didn't have a clue what we were
Yep.
doing.
Yeah, and it was just like you said, Oway, and I think I may have texted this to you last night. If Oway is just gonna dribble and then take a contested 3, uh, and what was getting me, it wasn't like it was a shot late in the shot clock that he had to take. He was taking those early, like, as they were our first, like, option 1 is to go ISO, and he shot 6 threes last night. He should never be shooting 6 threes unless they're all wide open. They're in a, just this is what they're giving us, and some of them should have went in, and they were few and far between. I think he hit 2, but
Yeah.
combined, I think they had 34 of 59 shots. Oway and Aberdeen, they had 20 and 15 points respectively, but the shooting percentage is terrible. Uh, Both of them shot barely above 33% from the field. They combined 5 for 9 from free throws, so roughly 55% from the 3 point or from the free throw line, and that's unacceptable from what should be two of your leaders.
Well, and we shot 58% as a team. So we go from shooting 85% as a team from the free throw line a couple games ago to 58%. You know, I don't know how that happens. I mean, can we not make a free throw? And so there's that. Like I said, there you can. I mean, there are points in the game where I literally thought I was gonna lose my mind, and and, one you'll probably remember this play, but, uh, it was a defensive rebound, Colin Chandler we're actually making a little bit of a run, Colin Chandler gets the ball and just carelessly just grabs it, and
Yeah.
the Vanderbilt guy just goes over there and just takes it right from him because he does he's not he's just careless and not strong with the ball at all. And and that's the kind of stuff that drives me crazy, you know. And when I say no sense of urgency, no sense of toughness, we just curled up in a ball last night and and couldn't do anything.
And that's what, just the effort wasn't there. When you look down at the stat line, well, let me ask it this way: was there any positives that you can think of from the game?
I'll tell you what, I want to see if you thought the same thing. We haven't talked about this. I thought one player played with effort. Who do you who stood out to you?
I'm trying to think.
I thought one player. If I was going to say this guy came in and I thought he was at least hustling,
I mean, maybe Trent Noah.
that's Trent
Yeah,
Noah.
yeah,
Trent Noah.
and
Trent
but
Noah was
offensively still
he didn't now he
isn't
didn't shoot the ball well,
no,
but you know who else didn't shoot the ball? Everyone.
nobody. Yeah, everyone.
So
Yeah, that's true.
so if anybody wants to say, well, yeah, well he didn't shoot the ball well, okay, well no he didn't, but I can tell you one thing he did. Go back and watch. He was working, he was
Yeah.
hustling, and way nobody else was. I mean,
The only other guy I thought that maybe, I mean, you could see effort. He was getting dominated physically, I thought, and part of that's just that he's a freshman. But I thought Malachi Marino, I thought he at least wasn't terrible effort. I thought he got outplayed and probably played bad. But at least I felt like he was mixing it up, trying to hold his on or his own, but he just, physically was dominated and didn't get a lot of shots. But outside of that, I mean, it's just negative across the board. I'd be interested to look at the plus minus. I would imagine we didn't have anybody in the positives. It's
yeah.
hard to imagine that, but it was just all systems failure. You were talking about the play with Chandler, and to me, there was just a couple last night that really, to me, symbolized the whole game, and maybe as frustrated as I've been with a Kentucky team in a long time. The first one, uh, the Vanderbilt player is tying his shoe, and so the guy's just standing there dribbling at the top of the key, just lackadaisical. And Aberdeen and everybody else just kind of stands there and looks at him and like just kind of holds his hand up and puts it down. It's like somebody was forcing them to be there and they didn't wanna be. Like, if
Yeah,
attack the ball, it was almost like a pickup game. They're like, "Alright, we're gonna wait on this guy to tie a shoe." And it was just no effort whatsoever. That was the first one. But the second one, and I think this has probably been watched, I'm sure, thousands of times on the internet, and just drove me insane was the Malachi Marino, and then he throws it into Owe, and Owe just walks out of bounds.
yeah. Oh,
And
yeah,
I'm like, "How are you not any more engaged than that to
yeah.
know what's
And
going on?"
and then he turns around and gets mad at Moreno.
Yeah.
It's like Moreno's throwing the ball into you, you're a guard,
Yeah,
and
what are
and
you
then
gonna do?
you
Throw the
and
ball
the
into your center who
and
can't
you
dribble?
you walk out of bounds and throw it back to him to
Yeah,
bring the ball up the floor. It's but again, that is just the lack of engagement in the game.
yeah,
Not aware, just going through the motions. That was pathetic, obviously. I thought, we uh the very first play, um well, I think it was the first play of the second half when
yeah, it
Aberdeen's
was.
man just goes cuts baseline, and he's just for a wide open layup, and Aberdeen's just lollygagging behind him,
Yeah,
and we're down 22 or 20 or at halftime, and that's your effort on the first play of the second half. I mean,
yeah, immediately you knew
you
this
yeah,
wasn't gonna be one of those
yeah, yeah,
comebacks.
that's right. When that happened, you just kinda I got all my yelling out in the first half. I was so the second half, I pretty much just, uh, uh, watched without having to say a word. I
Yeah,
just kinda gave up
defeated.
yeah, I gave up the ghost on that one. I was just like, "Okay," because it just wasn't gonna happen, and it never got better, um, but the offense just seemed to get worse as the
Yeah,
game went on rather than better. Um, because we get selfish and we don't run anything. We don't run an offense when
no,
if we're not. This team has got to have ball. The way this team is constructed right now, especially now, if we aren't moving the ball and we aren't cutting, what's just think about this last night. Vanderbilt, what did they do? They would a guy would dribble into the lane and he'd pick up the ball and they'd have guys cutting on the opposite side, just cutting.
yes.
And
Constant
all
motion.
constant motion and they'd be hitting cutters all day long. And we have got to move the ball or we're just I mean, we can't beat anybody if we don't.
Honestly, they got a little cold in the second half or they would have beat us by
Thank
40
goodness.
points.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it would have been bad. They missed some easy shots
they
and
were still getting open looks,
oh yeah. I mean,
and,
yeah,
the stat that gets me, we had 8 assists to 15 turnovers, and that's unacceptable at any level of basketball. I mean, if you're coaching a C team and they have twice as many turnovers as assists, you're not gonna be happy. But what's even worse, we only had 19 field goals. I mean, we almost had
yeah,
more turnovers than shots made, and that is ridiculous.
yeah. It was just another game of uh, 4 and 5 minute stretches with one or zero field goals. Um, turn, turning it over. Jasper Johnson got exposed a little bit last night.
Yep,
Um, just he just kind of curled up and he did nothing effective last night.
yep.
That little guard uh, from
Tanner.
Vandy, yeah, he just I mean he tore him up
Well, I
and
think, you kinda see what Jasper's weakness is. And we said before, we may mention, if I'm Jasper Johnson, I'm watching Tyler Tanner, I'm saying, "This is who I can be." They're built similar, small, skinny guards, but he's still effective. And I feel like Jasper Johnson, he's always working to get maybe a 3 or a mid-range shot. He doesn't ever there's no change of pace. It's a lot of dribbling, but he's not going anywhere a lot of times.
yeah,
Um,
and to be fair, a little fair for Jasper. he's not really a point guard, especially at
No,
this level yet.
no.
Maybe he will be a point guard, but he's probably more effective um, playing off the ball as well.
And do you
But
think he's a step slower than what most people probably think he is?
well, I think he is a little slower. I don't think he handles the ball great yet. He handles the ball pretty well, but he
Yeah.
sometimes, he tends to lose the ball or get it taken from him. And I do think he's a little slow, but he's got that longer stride, so I think
Mhm.
that makes him look a little
Helps
slower
him.
than he probably is. But you know, he just had a bad game. I mean, we have to have him to be a
Oh,
more
yeah.
have a more important role on this team and be effective offensively.
And if this
Um,
is the Aberdeen we're going to get, he's gonna Jasper Johnson gonna have to learn how to play point guard because, I
yeah,
mean, at
Aberdeen
least
was
at times he's
awful.
a willing passer. I mean, there are times when you can just see when Aberdeen catches it, this ball's not gonna touch anybody else's hands on this
Oh yeah,
possession.
you can tell his mind is made up.
Yep.
But before we even do anything, you can tell his mind's made up. And I'll tell you another thing about Aberdeen that he did last night that just kind of drove me nuts. And this is just a little thing, but and I don't know if you noticed this, but it was in the second half. He kind of beats this guy off the dribble. The guy he kind puts a move on him, and the guy falls back a little bit, and he goes up for the jumper and makes it. And he kind of points at him, and and I'm thinking to myself, dude, you're down 20. Why?
Yep.
Who cares? He thinking kind of uh, making a face at him, and
Yeah.
because the announcers are like, "Oh yeah, he's telling him about it," and I'm thinking, "Yeah, tell him about it. Tell
Yeah.
him about it while you're down 25, buddy." Like,
Well, and that's like, you go to, like, a football game, and I've seen it time and time again. I mean, a team just getting their brains beat out, and then with 3 or 4 minutes to go, act like they're gonna start fighting people. I'm like, "If you were that bad, why are you down 50 in a football game?"
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
if you were
yeah.
tougher than them, you'd be winning or at
It,
least competitive.
but see what that tells me though. It tells me a little bit about this team as me. It's kind of like are you just trying to get your points? Do you even care if you win? Because it's
Yeah,
like you're talking trash
yeah,
because you put a move on somebody being down 25. Like, I mean, you think it kind of just shows me the mindset a little bit of some of these guys, and that's kind of what I was thinking. But again, there just really wasn't anything positive on the game. There just really wasn't. And and which I've listened to a lot of the talking heads, and I'm sure you have too, about the game, and
yeah.
everybody just kind of talking about you know the, the coaching and not having the team prepared and all this, and I think that's part. I do think that's part of it, but
Yeah, sure.
but I just would we be this bad if we had Jalen Lowe and Quaintance and Cam healthy? Now,
Uh,
I'm not saying we would have won the game, but but there's a lot to be said when you've got pretty much 3 starters out.
that's true.
You know, I
The
I
only
don't
thing
wanna kill Pope over all this, but
Yeah,
listen, Pope's gotta he's gotta figure some things out with what he's got at this point.
yeah,
Uh, and and unfortunately, I just don't think we have a lot of talent right now.
yeah, and the only thing and I don't know how much, if all 3 guys were healthy, if it fixes things. If your team is selfish,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying bad people, but just selfish ball players. If your team's selfish, I don't know if more talent necessarily helps that if you're not blending well. And there were times when, even when Lowe was playing, when Cam Williams were playing, they still looked selfish at times and lackadaisical, and that just can't be the case. And you know, I'm not sure what the problem is. I think there's discussions to be had about the kind of Pope and some philosophies later on at the end of the season. And you see people with the nonsense, calling for his job already, and that's just not going to happen. But I didn't think we would see a lot of selfish players under Mark Pope. I didn't think that would be a problem. I do think last night he got out coached, but at the same time, I'm not sure the players were willing to make any changes. So you really don't know what was being told. Um, and at least I thought hearing Pope last night after the game, I thought he felt frustrated. I thought his answers were a little better. It wasn't just these, short kind of woe is me things. And he understands there's a problem, but I'm just hoping he has his finger on the pulse of the team enough that he can at least try to fix it.
I think I think there's multiple things that are um, kind of that stick out with I think Pope has to know at this point. I think Pope knows that we aren't very good. I think he has to know. You know, we have our our point guard hurt,
Mhm.
and who really we kind of have to have for our offense to go
Mhm.
smoothly. We have Quayton's hadn't played really all year,
No.
but he's the only one that's a potential lottery pick,
Yeah.
and then you've got Cam Williams, who by the way had been coming along and playing pretty well before he
Yeah.
got hurt. So I, again, I'm not saying that we're a national championship caliber team with those three, but I do believe that we would be significantly better if we were
Oh, yeah.
healthy. And so, but again, it still has it still falls on Pope for
Mhm.
the roster construction, which again, you know, everybody had this team in the top 10 knowing what the roster was before the year.
I'll tell you the way it looks to me. I feel like Pope, last year he had to think about the pieces, be very analytical because he come in kind of behind the curve. I think this year he kind of had some success last year, maybe more than people thought, and I think he had a lot of money to work with from rev share, from donors, and all that. And so I think he was just. It almost feels like he was just picking players and saying, all right, this guy, this guy, this guy, who's the best, who do I think is good at each and every position, and he didn't give enough consideration to how are they going to blend together, how is this going to look on the court. He was just like, all right, here's the big board. Let's just get as many of these top players and we'll load them. And there wasn't any thought of, all right, I need this many guards, this many shooters. And obviously, it's just a poorly constructed team. And I think even, if Jalen Lowe is going to be a focal point of your team and you're going to rely on him to score to get to where you want, to me, he's probably going to be a little streaky to be that. He needs to be a second option on any team that's going to have aspirations of what most Kentucky fans and even Mark Pope wants, and that's a national championship. I don't know if he's the guy that can be your number one.
Well, he Jalen Lowe, I don't think is our number one. But what he does is, um, he creates a lot of shots for everybody else because
Yeah.
he's so good at getting into the lane and driving. He can get pretty much anywhere he wants to on the court. But now we don't have anybody that can do that, and so we're having to kind of manufacture points and with guys that aren't really, you know, that asking them to do things that's really not what they do. But again, w- there's definitely some roster. I think there's some things you can point at the roster um, to an extent. But Owe, we knew what we had with Owe.
Yeah.
Owe, we knew Owe wasn't a great shooter last year.
Yep.
But you know what he was coming into the year? Only the preseason player of the year in the
Yeah.
SEC. So everybody thought Owe was in, but he's not a great shooter. Okay, so he's going to start. We all knew that, and
Oh,
everybody was fine with it.
while you're on Oway, let me make note of this. I do feel like he's almost regressed as a shooter. But did you hear them talking last night? I think it was Jimmy Dykes was saying, and this he just said it nonchalantly like it was common knowledge. But he said Oway kind of uh, didn't play a lot of ball over the off season, and he said it took him a while to get back in the groove, and he's kind of getting into form in conference play. But I'm like, if you're the focal point of a team, why have you not been like working out
Well,
nonstop.
apparently he had turf toe over the summer, and it took him a while, and he really wasn't. So it took him a while to get over that.
I just don't know if I see an entire off season from turf toe.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
mean,
don't know. I'm not, I don't know the ins and outs of it, or as far as that goes. I just know that that was one of the things they said he had. You
and
know,
when he's at his best, he's a lovable player. He plays hard. He seems to play with joy, but it's like, I don't know, it's like he's so inconsistent this year where his headspace is at. I think someone this morning, it's like 6:30 in the morning, not even daylight yet. And I opened my phone and the first thing I saw was a picture of Owe at the press conference, and he just looked
yeah,
like he was gonna fall asleep. And so
right.
it's kind of how he looks on the court at times this season. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, no, no. Well, Owe is also a number two.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
so we don't really have that stud scorer, but that's why it's so important to have Jalen Lowe,
Yeah,
because he creates driving lanes for Owe. He can spread the court out. He creates open shots for our guys that can hit the that are catch and shoot guys. I mean, our whole offense ran through him, and we were able to move the ball. I mean, if you remember when he played, I mean, he was getting in there and kicking it out, and kicking it out, and we make that extra pass to the wide open guy, and we would get open shots. Well, now it's just hard. It's harder for this team to get those, and you're asking Colin Chandler to have to drive and try to which that's just not his strong point. He's a catch and
no,
shoot guy, but Colin Chandler's a pretty good defender. We'll take away the defense on everybody last night because nobody really played good defense.
terrible.
But typically he's a pretty good defender, and we've just got a bunch of guys. I think we've got guys that can make shots, but we don't have anybody to facilitate the offense. And the thing about it is, you think about our comebacks, Tennessee and LSU, right? We were down eight. How did we come back? Well, Aberdeen played out of his mind in those games.
Yeah,
He hit shots and he played really well. But like I said, we've talked before. Aberdeen's one of these guys where he can he can taketh away just as much as he giveth. And if it's not going for him, then he'll just shoot you right out of it,
yeah, he'll
because
force it.
he'll force it too much, and you just kind of almost like I'd rather have him if when in a game like last night when he's playing like that. I just wish Pope would just put him on the bench and
Yeah,
and let us roll with Jasper at the one and and um,
I'd
and
rather have anybody at the one other than Aberdeen when he's in the headspace that he was last night. I'd rather Owe bring it up and I don't know, put Noah in or something and have another shooter.
Yeah, I mean, because he just gets you further away. I feel like from what you're trying to do when he's in doing the nonsense he was doing last night, just dribbling around and like I said, getting in the lane and trying to pump fake a million times and just trying to manufacture shots he doesn't have. And not to mention Diabate. Diabate, I felt like played pretty good defense. To be honest with you, I didn't mention him. Like he played hard. I felt like on defense, but
Yeah.
he can't do anything offensively.
No, and he's
It
another one when he gets it what's about to happen. He is going to the basket, whether he runs over people, walks, falls over top of somebody. Uh, it's like at times there's a couple guys on this team, they're just black holes. The ball comes to him and it's not coming back out. Like it's
yeah,
going to get shot or
yeah,
turned over.
yeah. I mean, so I don't know. It's a it was a very frustrating night and just an abysmal performance from the Cats and I'm not as worried about this season kind of is what it is. I hope we make the tournament, and we're gonna have to win, beat some good teams
To do it.
to make the tournament.
Yep.
Um, so we better strap it on because we're about to go through the gauntlet, and
Well, if the effort's not better than last night, I mean, there's not a game left that's a certain win.
no, I mean
And
we should beat Oklahoma at home. Although Oklahoma's pretty good, they've
They've lost
played
a
a
lot of
lot
close
of close
games.
games.
Yeah.
They've lost, like, every close game they've played. I
South
mean,
Carolina's one that probably should be,
we should beat South Carolina because that's at home.
but the effort has to be better than last night. If it's not, there's a lot of mid majors that would beat the brakes off of you.
Well, we won't beat we there's not a guaranteed win on the schedule left. I mean, you can say South Carolina. Some may say, "Well, South Carolina at home." Well, yeah, we should for sure win that game, but let me just tell you something. I don't have faith. I'm back to the point where I don't have much faith that we can beat anybody
No,
because
I'm the same way.
we're so inconsistent. Yeah, we beat Ole Miss. We won 5 games in a row, and you take Tennessee, which we probably had no business winning that game, but we
No.
did, and we'll take it. But the other 4 teams are against the bottom of the SEC, and and
Yeah, the
so
easy part of our schedule's done.
so we're really gonna have to if we can beat Oklahoma and South Carolina, we've got to win those 2. Like
Must.
we have to win. Then we have to win probably 2 of the game. We get Vandy at home, we get Florida at home, we get
Tennessee
Georgia at home, we get Tennessee at home.
at
Those are the other
Auburn.
4. Auburn's, I think, at Auburn, isn't it?
Yeah, at Auburn, I said.
Yeah, so you've got those 4 games plus South Carolina and, Oklahoma. That's our 6 home games left. Well, y
You can lose 1.
we've got to win. We need to win 4 of those,
Yeah,
and
maybe more.
I'm not sure we can.
No, I'm not either. And honestly, if the effort's not gonna be better than last night, I mean, I this team doesn't deserve a spot in the tournament. You're just gonna take, something away from guys that are gonna play hard.
And
Uh,
can we be I mean, do you feel like this team and listen, I know we beat LSU and Tennessee on the road, so obviously it can be done, but I don't feel like there's another road game that we have left that we have much chance to win. I
no,
mean,
I mean,
Auburn maybe.
yeah, maybe
Um,
that's probably your best shot, but and it's just really because they're inconsistent like us. It's a
yeah,
matter of who shows up and who doesn't.
I mean they did
Um,
just beat Florida at Florida. Auburn
yeah,
did, and they just won again tonight. Um, so they're playing better ball. We we're liable. I don't even know what the line is on the game. I don't know if it's come out yet for Arkansas, but
yeah. So
whatever it is, take Arkansas the
and yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
take the point, lay
take
the
them to
point.
cover, take them
Uh,
to cover.
because yeah, let's just address that as we get closer to ending the podcast, and maybe this has been more of a therapy session than a podcast, but the elephant in the room is Arkansas when it seems we're at, if not our lowest, next to lowest point of the season. Um, and the one team you don't want to see. I mean, I know I saw a lot of grades for Pope this past off season about the season before, and to me, the only thing that kept it from being an A plus was the loss against Arkansas.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I'd hope coming into the year this would be a chance to redeem that. But Calipari is going to try to beat us by 50 points. And I feel like last night in his press conference, they had a close win over at Oklahoma. It was almost like made you feel worse about Pope because we know how Cal talks. Over the year, we've learned those Cal speak. Um, and when he said, Pope's a great coach, he's the right guy for that job, it almost told me he doesn't think Pope can handle it. He doesn't think Pope's a good coach. And I hope that's not the case. I mean, I hope with everything in me, we come out and fight like we've not fought all season, and find a way to win. Nothing would make me happier. But I don't see a chance in France that that's going to happen.
Well, let me tell you something about Arkansas. There may not be another team in the country that's a worse matchup for us.
No, they are athletic at every position.
They will. The only thing that can keep us in the game is if they just happen to have an off shooting night. They're not a great shooting team,
Yep.
but A Cuff will go for 35.
I can't imagine a scenario where Aberdeen can stop Acuff on one single possession.
A Cuff will go for 35.
Yeah.
Brazil is a nightmare matchup. I don't know who's going to guard him, but whoever it is going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
Diabate's gonna have to try to probably,
yeah,
and
it'll have to be Diabate, and just and we'll just have to just say we're going to put Diabate on him, and we'll live without him scoring much. And
well, just
then
cross your fingers that his effort's there.
you've got the Knox kid, and then
Mhm.
you've got Billy Richmond who's just playing really well, and that other freshman that they've got
Malik Thomas.
is a stud.
Yeah.
So we are listen, we're in they could beat us 40.
Yes.
If they play well, they will beat us by no less than 25
Yeah,
if they if
I
they
don't
play
even wanna
well.
make predictions tonight because there's no way to know. If the team that showed up last night shows up Saturday, I would set the over under at like 35 of what we're gonna get beat by, and that's unacceptable.
Well, this team just beat us. I mean, just beat Vandy by 30.
Yes. Yeah.
Arkansas just beat Vandy by 30. And I mean, and I realize you can't always go game to game. I mean, they also almost lost at home to LSU.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I get that, but that just shows you the potential, though, is my point. That,
Yeah.
Vandy's a good team, and I know they didn't play well and they got blown out of the gym. Well, if we don't play well, we will get absolutely thumped. And I
It
hate
just
that, but it's just
It's true, and I think what makes it so bad and, you're like me, I don't care if we don't win a game for 5 years, when that I'm gonna be watching the next game, it's just what I do, I watch Kentucky, but it just feels like one of those games where if we don't bring the effort, we don't bring intensity, we don't play better than we've been playing, it really feels like one of those games where the wheels could fall off.
yeah.
And I don't wanna see that happen to Pope. I mean, I think he's a good guy, I think he's a good coach, and I don't wanna see the fan base kinda get to that, and there's no other game. If Calipari wasn't on the other sideline, that could happen, but it really has a chance to get nasty if it's as bad as I think it could be Saturday.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. If if we get smacked, and it's just kind of a similar type of experience that Vandy was, I'm not sure that we'll recover.
Yep,
You know, I hope I'm wrong about that, but we need we this team needs to have a good showing. I don't know that anybody expects us to win that game. Um, but it would be nice if we could come out and have at least have a good enough showing to where it's somewhat a contest,
yep.
right?
Have a shot to win. Yep. Have a chance to win with 5 minutes to go, and, that shouldn't be the case. Kentucky shouldn't be, but we're here. We have injuries. It's a poorly constructed team. Maybe not quite as talented as we thought coming into the year. There's a million excuses, but at the end of the day, you have this schedule. There's no easy way to get out of it. And if you have any goals to turn this season around, it starts with having a little pride for the team and the university and the fans. I know Pope values that. And if that's the case, then you got to prove it Saturday because this is one everybody wants and nobody's expecting it to go well. I guess we'll start to wrap things up tonight. And Ben, I won't say it's been fun. It's been good talking to you, but it was a disaster last night. But hopefully things turn around, and we'll kind of get everybody updated on the high school sports around the area this weekend. I know a lot of games have been canceled. There's some been, I think some were played tonight, some were not. So we probably have some games tomorrow night, and we'll kind of summarize all that and see where things stand going into the last month of the season. And hopefully, when we come back Saturday evening, we're high off a upset, and Cal's tore up. Nothing would make me happier. But And when we come back next time, we'll have a new name to this podcast. Inadvertently, we overlooked another podcast that goes by Bluegrass Breakdown. I think they're kind of exclusively, it seems to me, on YouTube. And so we know they're probably proud of the things they're doing over there. So we don't want to step on anybody's toes. So if you're listening to this, make sure you go to our Facebook page. We're going to put a poll up to couple names we're tossing around, let everybody vote on it, and that'll be our new name going forward. Be the same old thing though, just a new name as we kind of get things off the ground with this podcast. So, good talking to everybody. Hopefully, everybody's doing a little better after that loss than we are, and things are on the up and up next time we talk to you. So, we'll talk to everybody later.